Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Afifatul Hanim binti Muhammad Idris. So, what is warehouse? Warehouse is defined as part of a logistics system which stores product between the point of origin to the point of being consumed, while providing information to the management on the cargo status of item in storage. This includes all cargoes such as raw materials, parts, work in process, and finished goods. Warehouse also provide value-added services like repackaging, labeling to enhance the values of the cargo. Halal warehouse. The word halal means allowed or permitted by Islamic law. In the halal supply chain, it must be clean and halal from raw material to final product, including travel towards the end user. The same concept as halal transportation, where halal and non-halal product must be separate. The separation of halal product from non-halal product is a must. Once halal products enter the warehouse, all tools such as pallets or cargo carriers used to handle the products must be different from the sets used to handle non-halal products, and halal product must be placed in a different shelf. Next, what is definition of staff and personnel? Staff means employees or a group of people employed by a company. A warehouse worker is responsible for carrying out the logistics of receiving, processing, storing, and sending inventory according to purchase orders and shipping schedules. Their duties include loading orders onto trucks and shipping containers, organizing incoming stock, and putting the appropriate label on outgoing parcels. And the MS 2400 is divided into three. The first one is for transportation. This Malaysian standard specifies management system requirements for assurance of the halal integrity of products, goods, and cargo being handled through various modes of transportation. Part 2 is for warehousing. This Malaysian standard specifies management system requirements for assurance of the halal integrity of products, goods, and cargo at the warehouse. And part 3 is for retailing. This Malaysian standard specifies management system requirements for assurance of the halal integrity of products, goods, and cargo at the retail stage.
Next, I will explain about the role and responsibility of staff, which first about staff health status. The staff who directly or indirectly come in contact with the products, goods, or processes likely to contaminate the product, which the staff should carry out their medical examination or treatment to check if the staff suspected or have an illness, injury which could contaminate through handling process, or have contacts with the product, which the staff should declare or inform about their health status earlier to prevent contaminated from happen. And then for staff cleanliness, staff involved in the handling process shall maintain a high degree of staff cleanliness, which the staff should observe a proper hand washing techniques before start of the handling activities, immediately after using the lavatories, or after handling raw materials which the contamination can happen. And next about the staff conduct, staff should refrain from behavior that could result in contaminating the products, goods, or cargo, which if the staff should follow all the instruction which they must not bring their personal belongings, foods, or beverage which are not allowed to be brought in the processing area, which it is to maintain the halal hygiene and the safety, which they shall not commit any act or action that may cause a contamination of the products. And next slides. And next about good hygiene practices, GHP, which the staff shall comply with the requirements of law and adopt with staff codes of ethic, which as prescribed under the regulation of the relevant authorities, which it can cause the warehouse to be regulated by this practice. In ensuring the hygiene is a control, especially for non-Muslim staff, they should be educated and knowledgeable about the concept of halal, included about the staff clothing must be clean. And then the staff must responsible in managing each part, included the preparation, storage area, loading area, storing the product, and so on, which it is at the preparation and dispatch section. It is to make sure that there is an effective management and control system to demonstrate compliance with the halal requirements. And then the staff also must have intention to participate in structured training provided by a halal training provider registered under JAKIM or a competent authority, which the need for staff training is important to achieve high level skills and productivity that can contribute to developing a quality workforce, which for example, if there is a NCR non-conformance in the warehouse, they can solve the problems. And next I will pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Me, Nohairul Arina binti Abdul Aziz, will present about role and responsibility of personnel. Okay, first is take reasonable precaution for their own health and safety. According to Malaysian Standard 2400 Part 2 2019 Warehousing at Clause 755 adhere to all staff hygiene and regulation and requirement. According to this MS, every visitor to the warehouse should adhere to all safety hygiene regulation and requirement. Anyone who encounters the goods, processes, or cargo, whether directly or indirectly, must guarantee that they are in a good and healthy condition. It is the organization's responsibility to ensure that the personnel are clean and in good health before they begin work. Due to the need to avoid any contamination of product, material, or processes from taking place, this is necessary. Okay, so next is personnel in halal certified warehouse is need to maintain conduct. Also, based on Malaysian Standard 2400 Part 2, state that prohibited from engaging in conduct that has the potential to contaminate the items, materials, or cargo being handled by others. As personnel, it is necessary to be professional and maintain good behavior regardless of before, during, and after performing duties. So personnel must comply with all the rules that have been set. So for example, personnel are prohibited from doing certain things such as smoking, spitting, chewing, eating, or drinking. Additionally, sneezing or coughing on products, goods, or cargo with the cover or unprotected should be avoided at all times throughout the handling process. Furthermore, personnel must also avoid bringing in equipment or any personal item, especially like chemical items, into the processing area. This is a safety measure because it is feared that the prohibited material will be mixed into the product or goods that are being produced, causing contamination. Next is carrying out their duties efficiently with trust and dedication. So the personnel are responsible for complying with all the rules and guidelines set. So that ethic needs to be applied in every organization. Therefore, personnel are responsible for complying with all the rules and guidelines set. For example, when an organization is involved with a product or service with halal status, then the personnel involved to supply service or product for the organization, whether service provider or subcontractor, must be in accordance with halal requirements. So at the same time, personnel also need to always be assertive and trustworthy. For example, when visiting the halal warehouse area for inspection purpose or the like, personnel need to do it carefully and professionally. Lastly is the qualified personnel. They must fulfill the criteria, regulation, and training requirement for the position they are applying for. As personnel who will monitor, examine, or supply service, among other things, must have particular criteria. There are many options. They must fulfill the criteria, regulation, and training requirement for the position they are applying for. This is due to the fact that it cannot be complete by a random individual since it requires the participation of an organization, particularly those who offer halal service. So consequently, they must participate in a training program, particularly a halal training program, in order to verify that the individual participating in the operation have received adequate training and certification. However, in order for the operating system to work effectively, staff must also need a wide range of skill, knowledge, and experience.
Okay, now we move to the roles and responsibility of staff on halal issue in warehouse. Okay, first is retrieving process. The common issue during retrieving process is no segregation between halal and non-halal item, which lead to the cross-contamination to happen in halal warehousing. Therefore, before retrieving the items, the staff need to ensure the good is from halal resource, and they also need to inspect the transportation used to deliver the item is not contaminated with non-halal resource before unloading and checking the shipment from the truck into the receiving area. This is to ensure the halal product is not contaminated with non-halal product or NAJ. Next, the staff also responsible to approve the transportation related document and inspect the halal related document to ensure there is no non-halal item are able to pass the receiving area. This is because non-halal raw material or ingredient is not allowed to be stored in the premise. Quality check also need to be done in order to ensure the item retrieved is correct, in a good condition, and at the right quantity. The operator also need to check and organize material on pallet based on handling unit and performing the identification process. Lastly, the staff need to complete the retrieving record before the item move to the next stage. Okay, next is storage and put away process. The issue usually happen during this process is no segregation between dry and wet product and poor storage conditions. In this process, the staff required to identify the items and classify them according to their types. The classification process is crucial in order to identify the types of product and type of storage so that the wet and dry product or other materials such as equipment and non-food chemical are segregated. The use of the barcode in this process is recommended because it helps in classify the item by identify them through a unique code printed on label provided. The system will retrieve the information regarding the product and will select the most suitable warehouse lot for the item. Next, the staff need to carry in the handling unit using forklift to the selected warehouse lot separately and verify the destination of handling unit by scanning the warehouse lot barcode to link it to the system. Having a put away system increase the warehouse performance efficiency and simplify the process of storing items. Besides, it will help in reducing the risk of misplacing or losing items and assuring
the storage of raw material, finished product, material or R&D product, reject item, and other materials such as equipment and non-food chemical are segregated. Okay, next is packing order and shipping process. The issue in this process is items are packed together and not separated according to their types and class. In order to solve this issue, the staff need to select order from the list available in the system, and they need to pull the items from inventory in separated cart according to the types of product to fulfill the customer order by using method first in first out until all required quantity fulfilled, and packing them into separated package according to their types. The packing process can be checked by using barcode to ensure that the correct and required stock has been taken from warehouse lot and packed accordingly to the type of product. Then packing process is considered complete. The staff also responsible in ensuring all the product has been scanned using barcode or RFID, radio frequency identification, to determine whether the entire order has been correctly completed. Then the cargo issued from the warehouse is automatically saved in the system passing by RFID gates. Lastly, the staff need to ensure that the transportation used for shipping item is for the use of raw material and halal product only to avoid any contaminated with non-halal product.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Zulaini binti Zulkifli, and I will continue to what is a role and responsibility of personnel on halal issue in warehouse. Okay, the first issue arise in halal warehouse is the lack the knowledge and expert. To support halal warehouse on operation, inspection and supervision, internal knowledgeable and qualified people are needed. Halal warehousing has to be supported by good manpower and resource who not only have knowledge in halal but also in warehouse operation, quality and control, product flow system, cleaning and the proper use of the handling equipment. So to solve that issue, as one of the personnel department, your responsibility also play an important part to avoid any halal issues in warehousing. Then the first role and responsibility of personnel is to be a leadership for training internally and externally or coaching. Normally the companies frequently hire coaches to come in our factory and teach of group of employees. Coaches are frequently brought in from outside the organization to provide professional presentation. So the coach's goal is to improve performance throughout the department. So their responsibility is to design a suitable program by determining the method to be used, the course content or other related activity in warehouse system. Other than that, halal issue and warehouse also arise because the procedure less practical. Compliment to JAKIM because JAKIM is quite strict and consistent in the policy implementation. However, from practical aspect, there are few requirements not really practical and should focus into this matter specifically. As for the example, certification is based on the premise address, which means all warehouse room or building under the same premise must implement the halal service. This situation become challenging to the warehouse, especially for cross-docking operation. As we know, cross-docking is the activity to transfer goods from inbound carrier to outbound carrier. So, to solve that issue, the role and responsibility as personnel from JAKIM is in charge of monitoring and inspecting the warehouse. As we know, monitoring is one of the potential issue in the halal certification. However, in terms of storage or warehousing, halal and non-halal product must be stored separately to avoid contamination. So, JAKIM standard department will direct the flow of storage in accordance with halal storage standard. The storage will be sent through halal logistic guidance, and JAKIM will ensure that the goods are separated from non-halal goods, especially using the transportation or through the cross-docking activity.
For the conclusion, in Malaysia there is a new revolution of storing the food in the warehouse or retail. The manufacturer encourage MS 2400 to make sure their practice comply with halal and hygienic conditions. As we know, halal for food product begins from the farm to the table. In addition, halal principles are not restricted just for the religious matter only, but also include such issues as sustainability, environmental friendliness, food hygiene and safety, and also care for animal welfare. It claimed that as product had been moved and stored, it cannot be reassured that the hygiene and safety, as there are no cross-contamination, has taken place during those activities, as consumers still lack of knowledge on the supply chain. The halal concept has already started to play its role among Muslim consumers in terms of making decisions on product to be used. So the market value of halal product keeps on growing, while the number of companies certified as halal manufacturers also keeps increasing.